Señoras y señores representantes, señoras y señores, la Presidencia del Consejo declara abierta esta sesión protocolar del Consejo Permanente convocada en honor del señor Secretario General de la Organización de las Naciones Unidas, Su Excelencia Ban Ki-moon. Distinguidas y distinguidos representantes permanentes, representantes alternos, observadores permanentes, señor Secretario General don José Miguel Insulza, señor Secretario General Adjunto Embajador Albert Randín, invitados especiales y miembros de la prensa, señoras y señores. En mi carácter de representante de Nicaragua y presidente del Consejo Permanente de la Organización de los Estados Americanos, me es grato darle la bienvenida a Su Excelencia Ban Ki-moon, Secretario General de las Naciones Unidas, así como a los honorables miembros de la comitiva que lo acompañan a esta sesión protocolar del Consejo Permanente. Estoy seguro que transmito el mensaje cordial de cada uno de los representantes de los Estados miembros de la OEA al expresar el honor de recibirlo en esta Casa de las Américas. Su visita, señor Secretario General Ban Ki-moon, es testimonio de la muy especial relación que existe entre las Naciones Unidas y la OEA, la cual se reconoce en la Carta de San Francisco, en varias resoluciones de su Asamblea General, así como en la Carta de la OEA que establece el carácter regional de la organización en el seno de las Naciones Unidas. Su presencia en el Salón de las Américas y en esta sesión refrenda esa particular relación que existe entre las dos organizaciones. Su Excelencia Ban Ki-moon se convirtió en el 8º Secretario General de las Naciones Unidas el 1 de enero de 2007, habiéndose desempeñado previamente como Ministro de Relaciones Exteriores y Comercio de Corea del Sur. Cuenta con una distinguida carrera en el servicio diplomático de su país, con destinos en Nueva Delhi, Washington y Viena, desempeñándose también como asesor del presidente en temas de política exterior, asesor principal del presidente en cuestiones de seguridad nacional, viceministro de Planificación de Políticas y director general de Asuntos Americanos, por lo que conoce a profundidad las bondades y desafíos de nuestra región. El secretario general Ban Ki-moon estudió Relaciones Internacionales en la Universidad Nacional de Seúl y cuenta con una maestría en Administración Pública en la Escuela de Gobierno Kennedy de la Universidad de Harvard. En julio de 2008 fue investido doctor honoris causa por la Universidad Nacional de Seúl. Ha sido condecorado en 3 ocasiones con la Orden del Mérito, máxima distinción de la República de Corea por los servicios prestados a su país. Sus vínculos con las Naciones Unidas inician temprano en su carrera diplomática, desempeñando el cargo de primer secretario de la Misión Permanente de la República de Corea ante las Naciones Unidas y director de la División de las Naciones Unidas en la sede del Ministerio de Relaciones Exteriores de Seúl. En 2001-2002, como jefe de gabinete del presidente de la Asamblea General de las Naciones Unidas, facilitó la rápida aprobación de la primera resolución de ese periodo de sesiones condenando los ataques terroristas del 11 de septiembre. La paz y la seguridad internacional continúan siendo un imperativo ineludible de los pueblos y naciones del mundo para la búsqueda del desarrollo, el progreso y la cooperación internacional. Compartimos sus preocupaciones, señor Secretario General, por hacer prevalecer la vía del diálogo, la negociación y la no injerencia en los asuntos internos de los Estados y la búsqueda de soluciones pacíficas a conflictos existentes en diversas regiones del mundo por los medios que dispone el derecho internacional, tareas en las que ambas organizaciones tienen un importante rol que jugar. El destacado desempeño del secretario general Ban Ki-moon al frente de las Naciones Unidas le posibilitó la reelección en junio de 2011, renovando su mandato por 5 años más. Durante estos periodos ha encabezado importantes actividades de mantenimiento de la paz de las Naciones Unidas, contribuyendo con el acceso de fuerzas de paz a Sudán y ha sostenido en la agenda internacional el tema del calentamiento global. En su segundo mandato, el secretario general de las Naciones Unidas ha fijado como prioridades el desarrollo inclusivo y sostenible, el empoderamiento de la mujer, la transparencia y rendición de cuentas, los derechos humanos, el desarme y la no proliferación de armas. Ambas organizaciones compartimos esfuerzos y los anhelos por establecer un mundo libre de armas nucleares y de destrucción masiva. Nuestra América ha dado pasos importantes en esta dirección con la suscripción del Tratado de Tlatelolco. Resulta evidente que estas prioridades son complementarias con el trabajo de nuestra organización, pues todas ellas conducen a la paz, la gobernabilidad y la prosperidad que todos buscamos para nuestros pueblos. En este espíritu, consideramos indispensable la cooperación y complementariedad entre organismos internacionales para sumar experiencias, recursos y conocimiento, ampliar nuestros campos de acción y obtener resultados de mayor impacto para el bienestar de los ciudadanos de la región. Su presencia, señor Secretario General Ban Ki-moon, en la sede de la Organización de los Estados Americanos, confirma la importancia que usted le otorga a la cooperación entre nuestras organizaciones, cuya tendencia es continuar fortaleciéndose. Es grato para nosotros recibirlo y reiterarle nuestra cálida bienvenida. Muchas gracias.
Chair of the Permanent Council of the Organization of American States and Permanent Representative of Nicaragua, Ambassador Denis Moncada, His Excellency the Secretary General of the United Nations, Ban Ki-moon, ambassadors, permanent representatives of member states, ambassadors and representatives of observer countries, heads and representatives of international organizations, ambassadors to the United States government, Director General of the Pan American Health Organization, Vice President of the World Bank, distinguished members of the United Nations delegation, ladies and gentlemen. It is an honor to receive the United Nations Secretary General, Mr. Ban Ki-moon, on his first official visit to our organization. Excellency, on behalf of the entire Inter-American system, gathered here at the headquarters of the Organization of American States, I bid you a most cordial welcome. As you all know, Article 1 of the Charter of the OAS declares, and I quote, "Within the United Nations, the Organization of American States is a regional agency. End of quote. Therefore, I can properly tell you, mi casa es su casa. The Americas and the United Nations have forged deep and broad cooperation ties, an unparalleled level of collaboration that dates from its creation. Our region, a pioneer of multilateralism, did not hesitate in supporting the new international system that came into being at the San Francisco Conference of 1945. Of the 50 founding members of the United Nations, 22 are from the Americas and are members of this organization. That long-standing multilateral tradition has also given rise to multiple forms of cooperation between us. Our work for the advancement of human rights reached an important milestone with the adoption of the American Declaration of the Rights and Duties of Man, a forerunner by a few months to the Universal Declaration of Human Rights that adopted by the United Nations. Our defense of human rights wants us recognition for protecting the citizens of the Americas through the difficult times of dictatorship and domestic strife. And we have been building on those endeavors in recent decades. For more than 60 years, we have worked together continuously in several conflicts that have threatened the peace in our region. So we recently marked the 25th anniversary of the Esquipulas Accords that opened the way for peace in Central America. Our organizations joined forces to monitor and verify their compliance so that Central America might move forward in a climate of peace, cooperation, and solidarity. We also recall the deployment 2 decades ago of the International Civil Mission in Haiti, in which our 2 organizations mobilized as one on behalf of our sister republic. And more recently, of course, the United Nations Stabilization Mission in Haiti, MINUSTA, in which the region's countries adopted a predominant role in a gesture of hemispheric solidarity with one of the founding nations of our 2 organizations. We have recognized the leadership of the UN in our joint efforts in Haiti, and I have played an important role in helping organize together with you its full return to democracy. Today, our region is consolidating its democratic regimes, cementing the rule of law, and experiencing a positive chapter in its economic history. We must thank you for the continued consultations we have had every time that the situations, which have fortunately been few in the past few years, has arisen that requires coordination, and for the strong support we have received from you on each occasion. Your words and action have made us feel that we are indeed your regional organization. The OAS and agencies of the United Nations system have signed more than 20 cooperation agreements in the last decade alone. The UN has also worked with us through the participation of ECLAC, of the ILO, the UNDP, and PAHO in the Summits of the Americas process. And its support has been most important for this regional dialogue. We have developed far-reaching cooperation in the areas of education, gender, climate change, water management, drugs and security, counterterrorism, with invaluable results. And we hope to continue enhancing our cooperation to complement our strengths and coordinate our efforts every time more effectively. Secretary General Ban Ki-moon, ambassadors, distinguished guests. The UN and the OAS share a common responsibility where world problems are concerned: protection of human rights, transparency of elections, consolidation of peace and security for our citizens, and integral development for our peoples are universal values that guide our work. We want a world where the aspirations of our citizens are not stifled by lack of opportunities or by obstacles that restrict the inclusion of societies as dynamic as ours. We want a mutually supportive Americas region that acts in solidarity, not only with its members, but with all the nations of the world. We want to work together to free our societies from violence and fear, to face the threat of drugs trafficking and organized crime that damage our democracies, to allow every citizen of our nations to live in peace and security. Mr. Secretary General, we know that those aspirations are as dear to you as they are to us. Your uncompromising commitment to the values of the United Nations enhances the organizational ties that unite our two organizations and command our grateful admiration. Welcome again to the House of the Americas, and thanks for this important visit.
Muchas gracias, señor Secretario General Insulza, por su mensaje. Tengo especial honor de invitar al Secretario General de la Organización de las Naciones Unidas, señor Ban Ki-moon, para dirigirse al Consejo Permanente de la Organización de los Estados Americanos. Por favor, señor Ban Ki-moon, puede dirigir la palabra.
Your Excellency, Ambassador Denis Ronaldo Moncada Colindres, Chairman of the Permanent Council and Permanent Representative of Nicaragua, Your Excellency Jose Miguel Insulza, Secretary General of the Organization of American States, Your Excellency Albert Ramdin, OAS Assistant Secretary General, distinguished permanent representatives and distinguished permanent observers, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. Gracias por la cálida bienvenida que me han dado a esta extraordinaria Casa de las Américas. Muchas gracias. I'm pleased to be here and finally make good on Secretary General Insulza's kind and long-standing invitation. It has been a great pleasure and source of honor to have worked very closely with the Secretary General Insulza as head of two important international organizations. And for me, it is a profound honor to address the Permanent Council of the Organization of American States. You are the world's oldest organization. The history and vision of the OAS are reflected in every corner of this remarkable building. I am here to pay tribute to that legacy. But I am also here to look ahead with you and highlight the importance of an even deeper strategic partnership among us between the United Nations and Organization of American States. That is my message today. I'm convinced that the United Nations can play a greater role in your region, just as your region can play an ever more important role for the United Nations. The time is right. You have experience to share, ideas to spread, energy to help fuel global solutions. I know it because I have seen it for myself during the last 6 years, working together with members of the OAS and this, your great continent. Over the last 6 years as UN Secretary General, I have had the honor of working closely with your countries and traveling throughout the Americas. In addition to extensive visits around the United States and Canada, I traveled to Panama for the OAS General Assembly in my first year as Secretary General. I went to Jamaica and was proud to be the first UN Secretary General to address a summit of the Caribbean community. I visited Haiti, Chile, soon after terrible earthquakes. I traveled to Guatemala and took part in a meeting of the Central American Integration System. I have also attended the Americas Summit and journeyed through South America on numerous occasions. The countries I named does not mean all the countries I have traveled. I cannot name all the countries here. I hope you will understand. I have even seen more than I have planned. In 2011, I had first-hand experience with a volcanic ash cloud that spread across South America. My flight was scheduled to arrive in Buenos Aires, but diverted to Cordoba. That was 700 kilometers away, and I had to take a bus and traveled by overnight bus. It took about 9 to 10 hours. Along the way, I had an unexpected pleasure of enjoying alfajores in a roadside gas station. This was in the city of Rosario, which happens to be the hometown of my chef de cabinet, Susana Malcora, who is here with me today. By the time I made it to Buenos Aires, it was a national news. The Secretary General rode the bus for about 10 hours to meet the time to meet the President. Some Argentinians smiled and said, "Please remember, the alfajores are from Argentina, but the ash is from Chile." All joking aside, I have seen tremendous progress and promise wherever I have been. Many economies in the region are growing. Democratic institutions are strengthening. Global influence of the Americas as a whole is on the rise. You are expanding your role as a bridge between the nations of North and South, as well as among the South. You are also exploring new and dynamic ways to integrate your efforts and approaches. There are different configurations in which you work together, some regional, others sub-regional, CELAC, Mercosur, UNASUR, CARICOM, SICA, and many others. These reflect your views on how best to associate and advance different issues and objectives. But in whatever form, you are working to fight poverty and inequality, tackle the legacy of past human rights violations, and promote the rule of law and social inclusion. And there is no doubt in my mind the engagement of the Western Hemisphere and its regional structures are crucial to address the 21st century challenges and carrying forward our common agenda. That is why I am here to discuss with you. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I'm also here in the midst of many other pressing realities in the world around us. Let me begin with this week's nuclear test conducted by the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. Your continent may be far away from this, but this is a very serious nuclear proliferation issue. This was an outrageous and reckless act. I have deep concerns about the impact on regional stability and the global efforts to curb nuclear proliferation. Yesterday, I met with the Security Council members who strongly condemned the test and is exploring further action. It is in this context I want to commend your proud record of making Latin America and the Caribbean a zone free of nuclear weapons more than 45 years ago. The Treaty of Tlatelolco is a model for the world. Today, more than 110 countries are covered by nuclear weapon-free zones. With your help, we can make it all 193 UN member states, and that can begin with the long overdue entry into force of the Comprehensive Nuclear Test Ban Treaty, CTBT. I'm also deeply concerned about the ongoing situation in Syria. As you know, nearly 70,000 people during the last 24 months have been brutally killed. The political environment within Syria and across the region remains polarized. The Security Council remains paralyzed. Meanwhile, death toll keeps climbing. We continue to see unrelenting human rights violations, including widespread sexual violence. Every day, another 5,000 Syrians are fleeing their countries. Despite the difficulties, we must keep pushing for a political solution. The Joint Special Representative, Dr. Lakhdar Brahimi, continues his diplomatic efforts. It is essential for the Security Council to overcome the deadlock and find the unity that will make meaningful action possible. In the wider region, we must also keep working for Israeli-Palestinian peace. With the change across the Middle East, it's long past time to resolve this conflict. We know what a just and permanent solution must look like. In the year ahead, we must stop finding excuses and start finding answers. The crisis in Mali is also front and center. The international community has responded to the government of Mali's call for help against armed and terrorist groups. These actions are centered on the goal of fully restoring Mali's constitutional order and territorial integrity. But as acute as the problems are, we cannot lose sight of the context in which Mali is only a part, a sustained systemic crisis across the Sahel region. Climate change, political turmoil, terrorist activity, and arms smuggling are spilling over borders and threatening peace and security. Drug trafficking is also a fundamental part of the picture. The crisis in the Sahel illustrates our interconnections. It shows how much what happens there is related to what is happening in Latin America. Drugs and crimes are not simply matters of North and South, but also West and East. Central America and the Caribbean are being used as a bridge to North America, but the Americas are a staging point for Europe. One of the trafficking routes is through West Africa. And the notion of origin, transit, and destination countries is also fast disappearing. For example, once purely a transit region, West Africa now confronts increased consumption of cocaine. Several countries in the Americas face similar concerns. At the 6th Summit of the Americas in Cartagena last year, hemispheric leaders called upon the OAS to analyze the results of current drug policies and explore new approaches. The UN is contributing to inform that policy review. Transnational organized crime and drug trafficking are causing enormous fears for personal safety and fueling rising levels of violence, including some of the highest homicide rates in the world. The United Nations is committed to working with you to combat these regional and indeed global challenges. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, in Syria and Mali and elsewhere, regional organizations have played a vital role. As you know, Chapter 8 of the United Nations Charter underscores regional arrangements. But in our increasingly integrated world, cooperation between the United Nations and regional organizations like OAS is not just an aspiration. It is a necessity. We must continue to promote innovative arrangements and ensure that each partnership arrangement draws on respective comparative advantages. The United Nations and the OAS have a solid foundation on which to build. Our organizations have cooperated closely to promote peace in Central America. Exactly 20 years ago this month, we jointly created the International Civilian Mission in Haiti, the first and only joint mission of the UN and the OAS. We have worked to coordinate our electoral activities. The Economic Commission on Latin America and the Caribbean, the UN Development Program, the Pan-American Health Organization, and the International Labour Organization are partnering with the OAS, the World Bank, and the Inter-American Development Bank to support follow-up to the Summits of the Americas recommendations. The UN Office on Drugs and Crime works closely with the OAS Secretariat on issues of citizen security, the fight against corruption, drug trafficking, and organized crime. There are important synergies between the regional human rights bodies and the UN human rights machinery, including the Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights. In all these areas and more, our complementary agendas are very clear. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, as I began my second term as a Secretary General, I identified 5 areas where these are greatest and where collective actions can make the greatest difference. Those are, first, sustainable development; second, preventive diplomacy; third, supporting nations in transition; and building a more secure world; and fifth, empowering women and young people. Those are 5 action agendas which I have termed it generational opportunities to make this world better. These imperatives align with 4 pillars of the OAS: democracy, human rights, security, and development. In recent decades, your experiences and successes have helped show the crucial interconnections between these 4 pillars. Let me elaborate more on these 4 pillars. First, beginning with the promotion and protection of democracy, the OAS Charter, of course, features a democratic stipulation for participation in the organization. In 2001, the OAS adopted Inter-American Democratic Charter, codifying essential elements and recognizing people's right to democracy. Your experiences in democratic transitions have benefited the region and hold valuable lessons far beyond. Many countries of the Americas have also been pioneers in the field of transitional justice. This includes the establishment of truth-seeking mechanisms, reparations for victims of human rights violations, and the preservation of memory. As many countries now transition from conflict to peace, from authoritarian rule to democracy, they can learn from you. In the wake of the Arab Spring, the UN has provided a space for several countries of the Americas to share their experiences on democratic transitions with the countries of the Middle East and North Africa. We can and should build on this important work. That leads me to your second pillar, the human rights. Once again, the OAS has helped blaze the trail. Your American Declaration of the Rights and Duties of Man predates even the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. You have also led the way with the first binding treaty in history to address violence against women. As the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights has stressed, the Inter-American Commission on Human Rights and the Inter-American Court of Human Rights are pioneering examples demonstrating the vitality and effectiveness of regional human rights bodies. I encourage you to preserve the precious legacy and achievements of the Inter-American human rights system, and I encourage full participation by all member states. Let me now turn to the third pillar, security. Since day one as a Secretary General, I have been encouraged that during episodes of tension in the region, this permanent council provides a forum for peacefully resolving differences. The Americas region also helps promote peace and security more broadly. Today, some of the top troop contributors of the UN peacekeeping hail from the Americas. I thank you deeply for your contribution. I'm also grateful for the Americas' unwavering support to Haiti and our UN stabilization mission, MINUSTAH. MINUSTAH remains a critical element for Haiti's long-term stability and social and economic development. The mission has been led by officials from the region, a testament to the importance that United Nations attaches to your special role. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, finally, let me turn to development, this sustainable development. The Americas have made significant progress in reducing poverty and meeting the Millennium Development Goals. Your economies showed tremendous resiliency in the face of the 2008 financial crisis. But structural problems persist. Inequality runs deep, and you know inequality feeds instability. After several years of economic growth, low inflation, poverty reduction, and higher employment, the challenges before the region is to close important gaps that conspire against sustainable development and security. That means creating decent jobs. It means moving forward toward higher productivity and more sustainable pattern of production. It means opening new doors of opportunity for women, youth, and indigenous peoples. And it means addressing the clear and present danger of climate change. We have many of the solutions already, but we need to accelerate and scale up implementation. Some countries in the Americas are embracing the transition to a low-carbon, low-emissions future. I encourage you all to do more and my Sustainable Energy for All initiative aims to support and expand such efforts. A global climate change agreement would give us the engine we need to advance decisively on this path. We must work together and mobilize all necessary political will and all necessary resources so that we'll be able to have legally binding global treaty on climate change by the end of 2015. This was a decision and agreement of member states in Durban, and we confirmed again last December in Doha. For my part, I will continue to press for action at every opportunity and plan to convene world leaders next year to focus on making the big decisions the world so urgently needs. In this regard, I am very encouraged by President Obama's strong commitment he stated out yesterday during his State of Union speech. And United States, as part of OAS and as part of this world community, would continue to lead this campaign together with the United Nations. And I am sure that the members of the OAS will continue to commit yourself to reach this goal for humanity. Ladies and gentlemen, following the success of Rio +20 summit meeting last year in Brazil, the time is right to rethink the development agenda with the sustainability at the core and equality as a driver of growth. To forge the way ahead and help begin to define new goals for sustainable development, I have appointed a high-level panel on the post-2015 development agenda. The panel includes 5 distinguished members from Brazil, Colombia, Cuba, Mexico, and the United States. I look forward to the panel's recommendations as an input for the intergovernmental process. Finally, let me say that this region has a great potential to strengthen the global partnership for development. I would highlight 3 initiatives that you have been pursuing in this regard. First, the Energy and Climate Partnership of the Americas. Second, Connectivity for the Americas and the Public-Private Partnership. Third, Pathways for Prosperity. These are good examples of your dynamism and experience in tackling central problems. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I have addressed many challenges and opportunities today, but each underscores the interconnections between policies and people, and each highlights the vitality of Latin America and the Caribbean and American region as a whole. You are crucial to leading us all to a better world of dignity, prosperity, opportunity, and social justice. Again, I thank you very much for your commitment and leadership. We have a full agenda before us, and I look forward to continuing to work closely with you at this pivotal time to advance our shared values and common goals. Muchas gracias. Thank you very much.
Excelencia Ban Ki-moon, muchas gracias por su importante mensaje. Con espíritu de cooperación, en este caso con protocolo, invitamos a los estimados y estimadas representantes a, una vez cerrada la sesión, acompañarnos a una sesión de fotografía con los dos secretarios generales en las escalinatas que conducen a este salón. Hecho ese mensaje, señoras y señores representantes, señores invitados especiales, esta sesión protocolar del Consejo Permanente en honor del Secretario General de la ONU, Ban Ki-moon, ha concluido. Muchas gracias.
Ambassadors, ladies and gentlemen, the ambassadors' permanent representatives will leave through the front door. Alternate delegates will leave through the back door. The purpose of this is so that we can take the photograph, because we'll be using the staircase flanked with the flags. Thank you.